Do you feel that posting your photos on Instagram sometimes can feel more like a boxing match? You have invested your money into camera gear. You have spent a considerable amount of time training how to use it. You managed to capture that astonishing moment with a photo that you're really proud of. And of course you want to share it with the world. So you post that moment, that feeling, that photo to Instagram, but it looks nothing like you had expected. And rightfully you feel frustrated. I can relate. In fact, I can relate so much that I decided to do a test of all the export settings in Lightroom to find out once and for all what will make an actual difference when exporting to Instagram. And I found something out that I think will surprise you. Here are the best Instagram export settings for Lightroom to ensure that you get the best quality for your photos. We will break it down into 4 sections, all important for the end result when posting to Instagram. When capturing a photo, turn your camera into portrait mode. It will greatly help your future cropping as well as keep most of your subject in frame. If you have a landscape photo you are super proud of, make a crop for the first image and then make 1, 2 or even 3 slides of your landscape. And that brings us to the next part. 4:5 is the classical and the best aspect ratio for Instagram. Unless posting for stories or reels, then it's gonna be 9:16 as most of you already know. We can also do custom crops. We can do 8:5, we can do 12:5, or we can do the standard Lightroom crop for 16:10. And they're all excellent choices to turn a horizontal photo into an interesting slideshow. I'm not going to show exactly how to edit your photo or what settings to use specifically, but if you are interested in that, I will recommend my Lightroom tutorial playlist. I will also link it in the description below. One important thing we need to discuss is sharpening. You should be sharpening for subjects. Instagram will compress our photos no matter what we do. So to ensure it looks its very best, we need to make sure it's sharp enough and that it's sharp in the right place. This we're gonna solve by something I call sharpening for subject. And he says just decide what subject you want in focus in your photo. Sharpening for subject. Then press Alt on the keyboard, drag on masking until the outlines for that subject is what's going to be affected by the sharpening filter. Then you add the sharpening. It's that simple. Sharpening for subject. To ensure, I recommend the best and most relevant settings. I actually did a test on my own Instagram. I tested different resolutions, I tested different compressions, and then I posted them and asked my subscribers what they thought about the images. What's very surprising is that no one could tell the difference. And to be honest, neither could I. And this is actually great news, and based on that, here's my recommendation. Export location is optional. I often use choose folder later. It's especially useful when you are doing presets, as you can have your settings applied and then you pick where you want to save the images. Same goes for file naming. You can do prefixes or suffixes, you can have custom file names. All depending if you're into that stuff. JPEG is the standard for photos for the internet and definitely so for Instagram. Don't use anything else. Set it to 100% quality. Instagram will compress our images, so to ensure they look as good as possible after that, we need to export with max quality. sRGB is the internet baseline. Even if Instagram supports the wider P3 gamut, not all devices that will watch your images will support it. That's why we should stay sRGB. Don't check the limit file size. Image sizing is probably the most important in the export section, and here you need to pay attention. Resize to fit, width and height. I keep my export settings 2060 on width, and that's 1080 times 2. And I keep height blank. This way we can have the same settings for all aspect ratios, which I think is really good. And don't enlarge, because that will destroy your image. Resolution should be 72 pixels per inch and nothing else. I know some people recommend 96, or I've even seen something like 300. Please don't do that, 300 is for print. On output sharpening, I actually recommend that you add some sharpening for screen and pick standard for amount. When combined with this sharpening for subject that we just learned about, I would recommend that you actually add a little bit of sharpening in the export process. The combination of the two is really good. I recommend that you create an export preset with all the settings you want. Personally, I like to do one setting per export channel. Then when you export, you can just pick your preset and you are all done. Don't bounce your photos through apps like Messenger or WhatsApp. Each app can, and most often will, add their own compressions to your image. So every time you actually bounce an image through those apps, your images will deteriorate, and we don't want that. So the safest ways to think about this is to reduce the number of steps from moving your photos from Lightroom to your phone. Mac users will have it easier because one of Apple's greatest inventions is AirDrop. If you're a PC or Android user, as myself, I would recommend Dropbox or Google Drive. You should use something that's a storage solution and not an app solution, then you're the safest. I strongly recommend staying away from Google Photo, because they will add a compression to every media you upload, and that's not really good, right? This will hopefully make your experience posting to Instagram a lot better. I want to shamelessly promote this video on how you can grow organically on Instagram fast. You also have this playlist of Lightroom tutorials and learn how to edit like a pro. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye. Hej då.